I'm Daniel. This is Tiffany. We're with Stunning Stays.
A big question today is, how do you succeed in short-term rentals? 1, you got to create a beautiful listing. 2, you got to have the amenities that make people want to come to your property. 3, you got to focus on cleanliness and maintenance. You got to prioritize reviews and hire a property manager. That's how you succeed in the short-term rentals. Daniel, out of all those, which one would you say is your number 1?
I would say setting it up as a beautiful listing, which includes the amenities that are offered and including a high standard for maintenance and how well it's kept. Because every guest that comes through there is going to have an experience, good or bad, based on what it presents and how clean it is and how nice it is and how accurate it was to the description. And if something was a surprise to them, it's going to be poor, for example. They'll have a poor stay or poor experience. So it all comes down to setting it up nice and what amenities are offered. And if they're not professional, they definitely need to hire a property manager to handle all the day-to-day and running it as a short-term rental.
So what you're saying is all those are, you can't just pick one. All those are important because you're saying the listing, it has to be accurate so they understand what they're getting into. It has to be beautiful, but the cleanliness and the maintenance is a very high priority because you don't prioritize that, then they have a bad time and they also give you a bad review. All those things are very important. And I think the listing is the number 1 thing because of the fact that that's the first thing they see. And how you described it was very important, is it has to be accurate. Meaning, if you're missing something in that listing and they come to your property and they see something different, that creates a over-promising and under-delivering type of mentality, and then they're upset. So making sure that listing is accurate and beautiful is very important.
Always under-promise and over-deliver, not the other way around. Never over-promise and under-deliver.
Yes, and that's very important. And reviews is a huge thing. That's why it's on the top 5 list, because that's how people trust you. They have to see that other people have been there. They have to see. It's very hard to rent out the first time because no one has, you don't have reviews. It's important to get those reviews. It's important to give discounts, to get people into your property, to give those reviews and ask. So after someone leaves, we always ask for reviews. We always reach out and say, hey, will you give us a review? How was your stay? And we reach out during the stay to create that experience so that when they do leave, they will be willing to give a 5-star review.
Absolutely. Nobody wants to stay if there's no track record and there's no, it's across all industry, right? People want to see reviews. They want to see it has a proven track record when it comes to when you're purchasing on Amazon, when you're going to a restaurant, you want to see what do the reviews say? What does Google reviews say? What do people think of the property? Now,
another thing is the maintenance and cleanliness. And this one I would say is, and that's why you said all of them are very important, but maintenance and cleanliness is, everybody has a different opinion on that. Meaning, when someone comes in, everybody has a different type of mindset and everybody comes in and looks at the home differently. That's why our standard is so high, so we meet the highest standard of cleanliness and maintenance. And that's why when you're in the short-term rental space, if there's maintenance, you get it taken care of. It's not questionable. That's why when we bring on clients, they need to understand if something's wrong at the property, it just gets done. It's not something that's questioned. If it's cleaning, that cleaning is always checked after the cleanings and before the guests come in. And that's important to make sure there's a second set of eyes. Because if you're just sending the cleaners in, no matter how good the cleaners are, if they've been in the property for hours at a time, their eyes are starting to go, it looks clean. So it's important that an inspector comes after and double checks the clean so you have the highest quality of clean. That's why when hotels, they have a manager, they have someone go in, they have someone clean, and someone's checking the hotel rooms all the time. But it's important that maintenance and cleanliness is top priority when you're owning short-term rentals.
No matter how good your cleaners are, they will still miss some things at times. For example, when I've gone and inspected some of our units and some of our beautiful listings that are out there that we manage, and what I'll do is I'll check underneath the toilet, I'll check underneath this toilet seat, I'll look and I'll pull out every drawer in the fridge, okay, and I'll check behind the cracks and corners in the kitchen, on the back patio sliding door. Like, I'll just check all the corners and the cracks. And oftentimes I'll find stuff that was missed and I'll point out, I'll take pictures. If it's something little, I'll handle it myself. If it's a lot of stuff missed, I'll definitely do a callback to those cleaners. But it's very It's very thankless and it's a very tedious job to go back and double check, but it has to be held to the highest standard because otherwise those guests are not going to have a good experience, or they'll notice it. If I can notice it, anybody can notice the dirt that's missed in the cracks or any hair that's in the sink or anything, right? So that, yeah, it's very important to have the high standard when it comes to the maintenance and how it's kept and how clean it is upon the guest's arrival.
And you were saying how you check properties. That's how we train our inspectors, where they go in and they have a checklist that they have to go over. But really looking in the corners, looking up in the ceiling corners. I remember going to properties and it's like you see a cobweb and it's like, wait, what? You know, you don't want to see that. Not at our properties, but some that I've stayed at in other states. And it's important that all these little bitty things are checked. And that's why you send in an inspector after the cleaners to make sure they're looking all around and they're seeing the corners and the baseboards. My biggest pet peeve is when I go into a property and I see baseboards dirty. I'm like, get on your hands and knees and wipe them down.
The worst is if you're in a unit or you're in the bathroom or the kitchen and it's sticky, or it's like you feel the grime on your feet, your bare feet, or you're on your shoes even. It's the worst. It's a bad experience, right? So you've got to check up on top of those things. So these are things to consider to have success with your short-term rental. And these are things that are top priority at Stunning Stays when you work with us.